Naham sada shyama guru padarvindayo tasya preranaya tasya divyadesham vadamyaham. Aho vakiyam stanakalakutam jighansayapa yayadapyasadhvi lebhi gatim dhatriuchitam tatonyam kam vadayalum sharanam vrajema. Namah kamalnabhaya namah kamalmaline namah kamalpadaya namaste kamali kshana yo brahmanam vidadhati purvam yo vai vedanscha prahinoti tasmai tagmangha devamatma buddhi prakasham mumukchurvai sharanamaham prapadye. Dear devotees, let us do a few minutes of Nam Sankirtan, and after that I'll introduce how we should be approaching the intensive. Bhajo giridhar govinda gopala Govinda Govinda भजो गिरिधर गोविंद गोपाला
भजो मुरली मनोहर नंदलाला
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 भजो प्रेम अगाधे श्री राधे
भजो प्रेम राधे श्री राधे
भजो प्रेम अगाधे 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 श्री राधे
जेहि रसिक शिरोमणि आराधे
जेहि रसिक शिरोमणि आराधे
जेहि रसिक शिरोमणि आराधे
रसिक शिरोमणि आराधे
भजो गिरिधर गोविंद गोपाला
भजो गिरिधर गोविंद गोपाला
बोलो वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की। Radhe Radhe everyone, and welcome back to Radha Madhav Dham for another summer Sadhana Shivir, as was instructed to us by Shri Maharaj Ji, that we should have this Sadhana Shivir and invite all the devotees of Shri Maharaj Ji from all over to come and join us. So we're doing this again this year, and we're very happy to have our extended family here joining us. I actually feel like we began this intensive at Holi. We had our Holi mini intensive, 3-day intensive, as we all do. And even though our public Holi celebration had been canceled due to the concerns regarding the coronavirus, nonetheless, devotees came and we had the intensive, and many of them stayed here after that. So it just feels like the intensive kept going for the last 4 months, because we kept having extra chanting every night, and having the extra devotees around always makes it feel more like an intensive. So it was more of a slightly expanded sadhana, but lots of seva intensive for the last 4 months here in the ashram, because we're doing everything here in the ashram, which is our good luck and our delight to get to do physical seva here in the ashram, since the housekeeping staff and landscapers and all the outside help we used to have had to be let go, just because we didn't want people coming in and out of the property, not to mention the lack of income. So we're penny pinching right now. So we're getting to have this extended time, all of us here at Radha Madhav Dham, which has been like a 4-month intensive, and now we've just increased the intensity some more, and we're happy to welcome you here. My feeling leading up to this intensive, when it was decided that we would be able to have it, was that I wanted you to be able to come here and get a taste of what it's been like for the last 4 months of living in the ashram, the joy I've felt being able to stay here in Maharajji's ashram for such an extended period of time, and getting to do such a regular schedule of sadhana and seva every day. So that's what I'm hoping that you'll get to experience here at this intensive. Our intensive schedule will be a little heavier on the sadhana side than the seva side as compared to what we have been doing, but nonetheless, it feels like an extension of what we've been doing for the last few months. Having a sadhana shivir or an intensive is really important for us as devotees, because we don't get to spend extended times in the ashram very often, other than those who are residents, who get to be here all the time and get to live in this environment all the time and do sadhana here in Radha Madhav Dham every single morning and evening of their life. For those who are living out in the world, it's actually my heart goes out to those. I just see the effort that is required to balance all of worldly life and still carve out time to do sadhana. And many of you do that, and it's amazing. Nonetheless, when you come for an intensive, you get a much higher dose of devotion. Because when you're here, you let go of all the other worries and problems and responsibilities, and you only focus on devotion. So the progress we make during an intensive is usually many times more than what we would make in the same amount of time if you're here for 2 weeks. The amount of progress you make in those 2 weeks might be equal to 6 months of progress in your normal daily life. Could be something like that. Could be more, could be less, but in general, this is the type of experience people have. You come here, you're so focused on devotion, and like Maharaj is always telling us, if we can keep our mind in God and Guru all the time, then we see real progress. Otherwise, we're cleaning our heart and then we're putting it back in the muck of Maya. And that back and forth makes for very slow progress, painstaking progress. But when we come and stay in the ashram, if we're able to follow the schedule and keep our mind in God and Guru all the time, then we see exponential progress and we just feel like, oh, why couldn't I be like this all the time? It's difficult to be like that all the time when we're out in the world. So that's why we have the intensives. So you can come here and get that high dose of devotion. So at least part of your year was used for some really strong progress. And then that propels you through the rest, however many weeks or months go by until you return to Radha Madhav Dham or any other ashram of Shri Maharaj Ji for another dose, a high dose, high intensity dose of devotion. Now you've all come here despite the fears and precautions and everything that everyone is feeling due to the pandemic. Nonetheless, you chose to come here. You said, this is so important, I'm coming here. So while we're here, we have to make the most of it. We really want to get the benefit that we expect and we want. So for that to happen, we just need to focus on three things. Number one, Kirtan and Rup Dhyan. Kirtan is on the schedule. So if you follow the schedule, you'll come here and you'll do Kirtan. But the Rup Dhyan is where you have to challenge yourself. Sure, you have to challenge yourself to follow the schedule as well. But when you're sitting here in the hall, don't let your mind get lazy. All of us do. We say, okay, I came here to the hall, I'm following along with the Kirtan, you're probably even singing, and I'm mildly thinking of Radha Krishna. But am I actually doing Rup Dhyan? Am I actually trying to see what Radha Rani's eyes look like? Am I actually trying to picture Krishna's smile? Am I really doing focused Rup Dhyan? Or am I just coasting? Kind of feeling Radha Krishna around me, kind of feeling the feeling of the pad, but not really focusing. You still get benefit, but the benefit you get if you say, no mind, focus, try. Even if you just try for the next 10 seconds, mind, do it. And you focus and you do Rup Dhyan. So you have to again and again keep challenging the mind to do that. Because the default setting of the mind is just... the mind is not going to focus on its own. You have to push your mind. Okay, focus. Let's do Rup Dhyan for the next, even if you just take it in small bites. If you're sitting in a 2 or 3 hour Kirtan session, your mind is saying, oh, we'll focus later. It's a long session. It's not a race. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's a 3 hour marathon. We'll put some effort in later. For now, just coast. Now, actually, our potential is much greater than we give ourselves credit for. We have the potential to focus for long periods of time if we don't frighten ourselves out of our potential. So just tell your mind, okay, focus for 10 seconds. And then you make your mind try to imagine something being described in that song we're singing or any part of Radha and Krishna. Challenge it for 10 seconds. And after that 10 seconds, then say, okay, mind, that was good. Now do it again. On a different part of Radha or Krishna, or the same part, but with more detail. So you keep focusing your mind over and over again, and that's when the real deeper experience of the Kirtan and Rup Dhyan will come. That's the work we have to do. So while we're here at the Sadhana Shivir, we have to challenge ourselves to do Rup Dhyan. And we have, that's the hard part. Remembering to challenge yourself to do focused Rup Dhyan is the hard part. The technical aspect of Rup Dhyan is very easy because we have so much freedom in doing Rup Dhyan. We can think of any part of Radha, we can think of any part of Krishna, one of them, the other one, both together, Guru also, Radha Krishna in Guru, Guru in Radha Krishna. Any of those combinations, any Leelas of Maharaj Ji that we remember, being in Mangar, being in Vrindavan, Barsana, all of that counts as Rup Dhyan. And as I was mentioning before the satsang began, you can pull in any contemporary thing, modern thing, anything that's relevant to you today. Like we're all sitting here wearing masks. And I don't know, just the mask is forefront in my mind, right? I see so many masks, white masks, blue masks, black masks, big masks, little masks. So bring that into your Rup Dhyan. Because when I close my eyes, that's what I see. I see masks. So now I can bring that into my Rup Dhyan. Okay, Radha Rani could be wearing a beautiful mask. What color would it be? How would gopis decorate it? They could make one out of flowers. So anything that you're experiencing in your life, you can bring that into Rup Dhyan. You can turn it into devotion. It could be an interest, you have a hobby, we all have something where our mind goes all the time in the world. So instead of fighting your mind on that, just bring that into devotion. It's very simple. Nothing could be more natural for our mind. I've told many of you the story of one day I went to the beach in Los Angeles and was watching the surfers on the waves. And then that night when we were doing kirtan, that kept coming in my head, is the surfer riding a wave this way. So then I just put Krishna on a surfboard and I watched him surf. And it was such an easy Rup Dhyan. It was so effective. So whatever's popping in your mind, wherever your mind is going, just use that for Rup Dhyan. You can turn it into devotion. Krishna's grace, Radharani's grace makes Rup Dhyan so easy. Because whatever we think of, although it's not the correct form of Radha Krishna, because without a divine mind, you can't actually visualize what Radha Krishna really looked like. But they say, it doesn't matter. You just try your best and imbue your visualization with faith, with divine feelings. No matter how good or bad, artistically speaking, you think your visualization is, just imbue it with divine feelings. This is real Krishna. This is real Radha. In the Bhagavatam, Parikshit was asking Shukdev Ji that how did Aghasur get God realized when, he was a demon, he tried to swallow all the Gwalbals, his intention was to kill Krishna, and Krishna sent him to Golok. So he gave an interesting explanation. He used the word manomai. In the Bhagavatam, in another place, there are 8 kinds of murtis described. Shaili darumai lauhi lepya lekhya cha saikati manomai manimai pratimashtavidha smrita. There are 8 main substances out of which you can make a murti. So the first one mentioned is shaili, that's very common, out of stone, like we have here. Darumayi out of wood, lauhi out of any kind of metal, different metals, combinations of metals. Lepya out of clay. Lekhya, a painting or a drawing, that also counts as a murti. Saikati out of sand. Manimayi out of jewels. Or manomayi, mentally, you form the image in your mind. That's also a murti. So when Parikshit asked this question, how did Aghasur get God realized? How did he get to go to Golok? So Shukdev Ji said, Are Parikshit, Shri Krishna entered into Aghasur. And as a comparison, saying, how could he not get God realized? Krishna entered into him. He said, an ordinary soul, sakridya danga pratimantarahita manomayi bhagavatim dadau gatim. He said, an ordinary soul can just imagine the form of Krishna, and Krishna accepts his meditation and sends him to Golok. When someone can he's saying this is how gracious Shri Krishna is. He allows an ordinary soul just to imagine his form any way that soul can, and Krishna accepts that meditation and sends him to Golok. So when someone can get God realized doing that, why would you be surprised that Aghasur got to go to Golok? Shri Krishna himself entered into his physical body. So although he was explaining about Aghasur in the process, he also revealed the greatness of Rup Dhyan. We create this Manomayi Murti of Radha, Krishna, Guru. And as long as we're imbuing that with our faith, Shri Krishna accepts it. He says, that's all I'm asking. All I'm asking for is your effort. Bhavagrahya manidakyam Shvetashvataropanishad. He wants our bhav. He's not looking at the details and correctness or accuracy of our meditation. He wants our effort and our bhav, our feelings, our faithfulness. So Rup Dhyan is very natural, it's very easy, but we have to challenge ourselves to do it. If you're struggling with one sense, use another sense. We tend to rely on our eyes first and foremost, but I know many people who really struggle to see anything, which is fine, by the way. Just having the effort to see Radha Krishna is all Krishna is asking for. But if you're feeling that, okay, this visual thing is not working for me, okay, you have 4 other senses. Could you imagine what it would be like for Krishna to put his hand on your shoulder or on your cheek or to give you a hug? You could try imagining that. Or try imagining a fragrance, a divine fragrance of Krishna or Radha's flower garland, or the fragrance of their hair. Or try to hear, what would the sound of Radha's voice be? Just try to imagine it during Rup Dhyan. Try to hear it. You might find that you're good at that. Some people are good at visualizing, other people are good at using their maybe 1 or 2 other senses. So try other ways. It all counts as Rup Dhyan because your 5 senses are embedded in your mind. They don't exist outside of your mind. Your senses in a subtle form are embedded in your mind. So if you're using any of those senses in Rup Dhyan, actually it means your mind is engaged. Your mind is in Radha Krishna, not just visually. You can use the visual sense, but you can use your other senses as well. So Rup Dhyan And kirtan, that's one thing we have to think about during the intensive. Another thing is seva. Seva is another way of dedicating ourselves to Radha Krishna and Guru. It's another way of engaging our mind in something devotional. Seva is not something we are doing for our Guru. Seva is not something we are doing for Radha Krishna. Seva is something we do for ourselves, even though seva is supposed to be for the happiness of the beloved. But who's getting the benefit? Is our beloved getting the benefit? No. Because to actually serve Radha Krishna or any divine personality, you need something divine with which to serve them. How would we serve them? With something material? Material things, wealth, it's of no value to them. There's a story of one of Ram's ancestors, King Raghu, who had donated every last gold coin from his treasury. Even he donated his the china and the cutlery and everything. There was nothing left of value. He had given it all away. And at that time, a young Brahmin came asking for some gold coins for his guru, to give to his guru as a dakshina. So Raghu sent one of his karmacharis to go and check in the treasury. He said, "No, my king, there's not a single gold coin there." And that brahmachari needed 16,000 gold coins. So he just said, "Okay, prepare the army. We're going to Swarg. We're going to attack Kuber. We'll take what we need from him." So Naradji went and gave a little hint to Kuber, "Hey, what are you doing over here relaxing? You know Raghu's on his way here?" Hearing Raghu's name, he immediately became attentive, because Raghu, when he was just a little boy, had captured Indra and tied him up. And his father, Dilip, had said, "No, my boy, this is the king of Swarg. You can't just treat him like that. Let him go." So when he was a little boy, if he could do that, he captured Kuber's king, Indra. Now that he's full grown, what will he be capable of? So he immediately just said, no, tell him he doesn't need to come. And using his celestial power, he filled Raghu's treasury to overflowing. So what would a divine personality have any need of our material wealth for? They don't need our wealth. They don't need our things. Our physical body is of no interest to them. This physical body, imperfect, full of Mayic faults as compared to divine things, why would they even look towards us? Our mind is also a reservoir of uncountable sins from past lifetimes. So what do we have to offer them? With what could we do seva? So our seva, even if it is selfless, I want to do this to please God and Guru, what do we have to give them or serve them? The one with something can serve the one without. The one with power can serve the one without power. We cannot serve God and Guru, but we call it seva. Really, it's just surrender. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tas tathaiva bhajamyaham. Gita. Shri Krishna says, मैं भजता हूं, मैं भक्ति करता हूं, तुम शरणागत हो जाते हो. So we surrender to him, he serves us. Because he has the power, he has the divine things with which to serve us and help us. So we do what we call seva to God and Guru as a means of improving our surrender to them. Doing seva should help us develop more feelings of humbleness and dedication. So we become more surrendered, therefore we receive more of their grace, and that propels us further on the path. So always keep in mind, when you get the chance to do seva, see it as an opportunity. It's not a job to be completed. It's an opportunity for you, it's a different way for you to receive more of Guru's grace. Whatever it may be. It could be something highly technical, it could be something physically simple, like sweeping a floor. It's all considered seva, and it's all a way for us. Really, it's like the beggar who begged all day long and saved up just enough to buy a nice, ripe, juicy apple. And brought that apple to the king, saying, "Oh, my king, I wish to offer you this apple." The king has a whole royal pantry filled with all kinds of mangoes and pineapples and apples and everything he could ever want. He doesn't need a beggar bringing him an apple. But the king, being generous by nature, was attracted by the humbleness and dedication of that beggar. The king's heart melted seeing the effort of the beggar. It didn't matter that did he need that apple or he didn't need that apple. His heart was melted by the sentiments represented by the effort of that beggar. That's us when we do seva. We can melt God and Guru's heart. They say, "Oh, my poor devotees have nothing with which to serve me, and yet they're trying their hardest." Remember, bhavagrahya manidakyam. Krishna is hungry for our love. So we should serve him lovingly. And we have plenty of opportunities here in the ashram. We have no landscaping crew, we have no housekeeping crew, although we brought one person on to help during the intensive, but normally no outside help in landscaping, housekeeping, cooking, cleaning. So we have full opportunity here during this intensive to offer in our own limited and humble way whatever we can to Guru, by helping this intensive to run and by helping the ashram to run with whatever we can contribute. So Roop Dhyan, number 1, Seva, number 2, and number 3, Radhe Breathing. Because during the intensive, it's extremely important to remember Radha Krishna all the time. The amount of benefit you'll receive during this intensive, if you're only keeping your mind in God and Guru during the sessions here in the hall and then letting your mind wander in worldly things during the other times, as compared to if you can keep your mind in God and Guru during the other times as well, it'll be like night and day. Because it's like a snowball rolling down the hill. At first, you have to start pushing it, pack it, get it rolling slowly. You have to keep pushing it, and then all of a sudden when it gets heavy enough, it starts going on its own, and it picks up more and more speed and more weight, and then it's going on its own and it's unstoppable. This is what we want to do with our devotion during the intensive. The more we keep our mind in God and Guru, we start gaining that momentum. At first, because we came from the outside world, our mind will be distracted and it will be unnatural. It will take effort to keep our mind in Radha Krishna all the time. But after a day or two, it'll become much more natural. You'll get in the groove. And your mind will just tend to go towards God and Guru. But the best way to make this happen is to employ the technique of Radhe breathing. That means when you inhale, you say Ra. When you exhale, you say Dhe. But just silently, in your heart, you're saying Radhe, Radhe with every exhalation and inhalation. After a day or two of reminding yourself to do that, it becomes a real habit. You'll find that even when you're sitting here in the hall, the kirtan is happening and you're responding with the rest of the audience, so you're singing the line, and then when the main chanter is chanting, Radhe, Radhe is going in your mind, even though you're also following the chanting. It becomes so ingrained. So you want that going on while you're doing seva. You want that going on while you're standing in the line that's going to extend from the dining hall back here to the temple, because we're all standing 6 feet apart. So take the opportunity when you're in the line, instead of saying, oh boy, such a long line. Take advantage of that. Stand there and do your Radhe breathing until you get your food. And then keep doing your Radhe breathing while you eat as well. This will make a really big difference. If you practice it even for a day or two, you'll see something's going to change inside of you. Maharaj Ji says, normally when he says to practice something, he says, try it for 10 days. So I'm saying in a day or two, you'll see some impact of that. Imagine if you do it really wholeheartedly for 10 days, you'll be a different person. It'll become so ingrained in you. So these are the 3 things we want to think about during the intensive, or focus our effort on. Rup Dhyan. When you're here, challenge your mind. We're going to do focused Rup Dhyan. Keep challenging yourself over and over. We also want to focus on seva, the opportunity to do physical seva while we're here in the ashram. And we also want to focus on Radhe breathing, so that we do 24 hours a day continuous remembrance of God and Guru for the whole intensive. Then you'll see a really powerful benefit that you'll get. So these are the things to keep in mind. If you can keep reminding yourselves of that, Rup Dhyan, Seva, and Radhe breathing. So I had, just before we finish with some kirtan, and Chirag is going to be giving us some orientation to the intensive, but I want to just briefly review a couple of things regarding the schedule with you. As I mentioned, you need to challenge yourself to follow the schedule, be here on time. We're going to be giving you, just like we did in the last camp, we'll be giving you little journals that have attendance trackers in them. So you'll be tracking your attendance. There will be P for present and on time, L for present but late, and A for absent. So you'll track your own attendance. That way it won't sneak up on you. You'll be acutely aware. How much am I actually participating? How seriously am I taking this? Am I just wandering in halfway through sessions? Or am I actually showing up on time and taking advantage of the opportunity I have here? Regarding full attendance, I think the very most important thing to enable you to have full attendance is the magic hour of 11 p.m. That's curfew for everybody. If you can get yourself to bed by 11 p.m., your day will be a lot more enjoyable. You should feel that morning arti is mandatory. You should be in morning arti. You're in your Guru's ashram. How can you keep sleeping when Guruji's arti is happening? So you shouldn't let yourself off the hook. When I wake up in the morning and I feel, oh, this is hard, I wish I would have had more sleep, then my next thought to myself is, yeah, this is your punishment for not having gone to bed on time. Now deal with it. Get up. So, if I didn't go to bed on time, that's my fault, and now I've got to suffer the consequences in the morning, but I'm getting up. Get yourself a buddy who's going to come and knock on your door. I've got two upstairs. They're Gopal Das and Kishori Das. They make sure I'm up in the morning. And honestly, some mornings I might not make it if it wasn't for them. But we have an agreement amongst each other that we'll all go and knock on each other's doors, although Gopal Das never needs it. But that system really works. If you've got someone coming and knocking on your door telling you, hey, I'm going to Aarti, where are you? Then it's going to get you there. You have someone else looking out for you, and it's very helpful. So think of Aarti, morning Aarti, as mandatory, even if that means you have to take a nap at some point in the day because you got up early for Aarti, but get yourself to Aarti in the morning. So after the Aarti and Parikrama, then we'll be having our morning exercise. So you'll have two options: to join the yoga here in the hall or to join the devotional walk. So I'll be leading a brisk devotional walk every morning, or there may be some other people who will also lead it on some mornings. I'll ask Divakari Didi and Maheshwaranand Bhaiya if they want to, or Chirag Bhaiya. And it'll be a quick walk. So be prepared for a brisk 45-minute walk, and we'll try to go on some different trail around the property every morning. And some mornings we may also be crossing the river, so it may be appropriate to wear shoes that you don't mind getting wet. Although, we have proper rock bridges across the river. Nonetheless, sometimes we'll be crossing the river. So morning Aarti, Parikrama, then exercise. Then we have a split session. We have Seva and Sadhana going on simultaneously from 9:30 until 12 every day. So there will be sadhana going on in the hall, so you have a choice. It's completely up to you. But during that time, we'll be having physical seva projects every day. So the top priority, of course, is always the kitchen. We want to make sure Gaurhari has the support that he needs to prepare the meals for all of us. But once his quota of however many volunteers he needs is met, then anybody else who wants to do seva will be having both some indoor seva projects and some outdoor ones. So Rani and Preeti will be leading the indoor seva projects, and I'll be leading the outdoor seva projects. So one of the ones we'll be starting with is Govardhan Hill. We'll be going down there, and there's a lot that needs to happen down there. Weeding and taking some plants out and putting some new plants in and doing some mowing and trimming and things. So we're going to spiff up Govardhan Hill, and after that we have some other things planned for Prem Sarovar and other places around the property. So we'll see how many projects we get to. There's nothing urgent or stressful about it, but when we have this many people here, if they want to participate in physical seva, it's great to have that opportunity. So that'll be every day. We'll be meeting at the Shiv Shrine at 9:30 in the morning. Whether you're doing outdoor seva or indoor seva, we can all meet there. Whoever wants to do seva, you can meet there at 9:30, and then we'll split up according to who's going to go inside, who's going to go outside, etc. Tomorrow we won't be having outdoor seva because it's Sunday. We have the 11 a.m. Lecture. So I'll be giving a lecture tomorrow morning, but my lecture is based on questions. So if you have any questions you want answered during the 11 a.m. Lecture tomorrow, please write them down and give them to me or email them to me so that I can answer your question tomorrow morning. So these are the things I wanted to highlight in the schedule. Kirtan finishes at 10:30 p.m. There's warm milk and snack available at that time, but everybody should be in bed at 11. And normally I'm the curfew enforcer, but my plan is to be in bed before 11 every night. So I'm not going to be coming around enforcing it. I've asked our security guard, Madhukar Bhaiya, I think most of you know him, he's going to be enforcing it. So he'll be doing the same thing I usually do, coming to the dining hall, turning the lights off, saying Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe. So please respect him. Other than the small crew of devotees who will be cleaning up from that bedtime snack. The rest of you should please vacate the dining hall at that time. And same thing here, he'll be coming to the prayer hall, making sure there's no congregation happening at that time and everybody's heading off to bed. So please do respect him. I'll be checking in with him and seeing if he's having any problems and following up on that. So curfew, morning arati, and then exercise, seva, and lots of sadhana sessions throughout the day. Regarding the precautions we're taking for the coronavirus, you'll hear a lot more about that from Chirag. But I just wanted to say that devotionally speaking, I look at these as advantageous and positive for us. It makes us more disciplined, actually. And it's good. Even with or without the coronavirus, not spreading germs to each other is a good thing. We'll stay more healthy during this intensive. You know, oftentimes when we get so many devotees together, so many colds or flus go around, so that will prevent that from happening, if nothing else. And if certain things are inconvenient, like I don't like wearing a mask, I don't like breathing my own warm recycled air, but too bad, right? That's part of our seva while we're here. We have to wear the mask. I don't like alcohol sanitizer on my hands. Too bad. That's the rule for this sadhana shivir, so I'm going to follow it. Normally, I would prefer to go and wash my hands with soap and water, but the rule for the sadhana shivir is sanitize your hands before coming in the hall, so I'm going to follow that during the sadhana shivir. When the shivir is over, if I want to go back to soap and water, that's fine. But certain things may be uncomfortable. Nonetheless, I'm going to follow them, and I hope you all do as well. And that way we'll stay more healthy during this intensive. And if by chance someone does end up getting the coronavirus, well, odds are eventually it's going to make its way here to Radha Madhavdham. So that's not going to affect us either. We're not going to freak out. We're prepared not only for preventing that happening, we're also prepared in the event that it does happen. So we have facilities arranged for accommodating people who may need to quarantine, and we also have medical professionals right here on site as part of this intensive to help us out with making those decisions. So even if something like that does happen, we don't need to get disturbed by that. We'll keep going on with our devotion. So I hope all of you take maximum benefit from this sadhana shivir. And remember, please do give me your questions for tomorrow's my 11 a.m. lecture. If you have anything any topic you want me to address or any question you want me to clear up. बोलिए वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की, श्रीमत सद्गुरु सरकार की. Now we'll be having some more orientation with Chirag. One time, Badi Didi said after